Is anybody still sticking with Deadly Premonition around here? I think, Jan, you said you played a little bit of it. Ben's got a tentative look on his face.
The most cursed video game I have ever touched for reasons related to the game and unrelated to the game.
Much like Deadly Premonition itself, it's a very meta situation.
Oh my god.
Related to that, when I was downloading it when it came out last week, I was just I thought it would just be set and forget it, let it go for a couple minutes. But then that was the first time on a Switch that I got a DNS error that the game just stopped downloading for whatever reason.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it is literally the only game I've ever had that has hard crashed my Switch.
Ben, you're probably way deeper than I am. I'm still about maybe 3.5 hours in, so still fairly early. Okay, still fairly early. And I don't know if it's because my exposure to the first Deadly Premonition was watching both sets of the endurance runs, where that is kind of one of those games where I'd rather just sit back and watch the story rather than actually play it myself. Mostly because the actual playing of the game is it the best? I'd say.
What kind of I've played through that entire first game, and I think I've suppressed all memories of it. I don't even remember what kind of game it is. There's shooting, right? There's they're totally fucking shooting, right?
It got rid of the tank controls of the first game for a little more active. You can move. You can even do a short little hop while you're aiming, which is really helpful for dodging the enemies. Apparently, I haven't touched it yet, but there was a patch this morning that fixes some of the frame rate issues. Not all of them, but some of them.
But yeah, where I'm at, it's still fairly early. I hopped on the skateboard as soon as I could because the little story bits.
Fucking skateboard.
I mean, the premise of the driving in Deadly Premonition 1 was not great at all. Because prior to this coming out, I wound up picking up the Switch release of that and then just absolutely hating it, but still playing through it. But then here they thought oh, well, what should we give York instead of a clunky car? Let's make him the world's most professional skateboarder in the world. And the story explanation for that is very dumb, but I think
his hybrid car got stolen.
Yeah.
So he got a skateboard because of course, right?
Mm-hmm. Why not?
But it's a boost board, right? It's got
no, it's just a regular
electric motor.
Yeah.
No, nothing.
No, it's just a badass skateboard. I think the most interesting thing about Deadly Premonition 2 is its structure.
Sure.
Each act kind of has 3 parts, where the first act is the stuff. So this game is a sequel and a prequel to the original. The first act serves as the sequel part, and you're actually playing as a FBI agent named Leah Johnson or something, who is investigating York for something related to this past case where you're playing as York. I think that stuff's cool. It's kind of a interactive adventure game, kind of you look around the room, you ask him about stuff. He's just sitting there getting high, talking about coffee.
He's literally getting high.
There is a lot of weed in this game, which great. Go do your thing.
Did Swery just discover marijuana recently?
Or maybe he got, maybe he saw how culture was moving and was just it's time to finally embrace it.
Sure.
And, there's jokes in it about how it's legal and stuff like that. And then the least interesting part of the game is the part where you're actually playing it, which is the middle chunk of each chapter. It's the kind of open world thing. And I'm just started chapter 3, which honestly is 25 hours at this point. These are long chapters. It's just fetch quests so far. It's just fetch quests that get you more fetch quests that get you more fetch quests. And it's just find stuff around the town, talk to certain people, talk to people on certain days where you have to just go to bed, wait, go to bed 5 days in a row. You become stinky and you have to shave, so you have to wash your suit and everything, and then just then you can go talk to the person on Monday who sells red beans and rice and whatever. I see a lot of people in chat saying Shenmue. I never played Shenmue, but yes, that sounds about right.
I think so far for where I'm at, I think they've lightened up on some of the horror elements. It's probably because I'm early and added more Shenmue into it.
You out in the overworld, you don't have a real gun, you have a trank gun, so you're just like, so you're not killing these animals, you're just kind of shooting them with tranquilizers, except when you go over their body and hit A, you harvest like their skulls or their tails or their necks, and just like, I don't know how you're not killing them, but you're not. They make a very clear point. It's non-lethal rounds.
Also, I don't, at least in the first game, I don't remember it going zany right off the bat as soon as you get control of York. But then here he just descends down the stairs and starts talking to a painting.
You mean Hungen?
Hungen, yes.
That's kind of the thing I was going to ask you guys about. Is I've seen some people saying that it feels like this game, I don't know, like maybe took the wrong lesson from what people liked about the first game, or like it doesn't quite. Like, it kind of misses the subtlety that made the first game work.
The thing about Deadly Premonition 2 is a lot like... So, Deadly Premonition 1 was obviously very much like inspired by Twin Peaks, but it had that Twin Peaks kind of thing of like, when you meet the people in the town, there's, of course, rare exceptions, but most of the people are kind of normal. Like, there's the log lady equivalent, there's the weird guy in the wheelchair who only talks with rhymes and stuff like that, but... It's through playing the game and doing side quests and talking to them, you start to realize how weird everyone in this town is, how interconnected everyone is. But this game, everyone is dialed up to 100 the second you meet them. There's Jan, have you met, I forget her name, but the woman who runs the fast travel system, the like Uber-like?
Yes.
What I have to know what Swery's idea of an Uber, what is the Uber called?
What is it called? Fuck. I don't even know if it has like a super clever name. It does have a joke about how she's like, I'm going to get rich because I'm going to make everyone an independent contractor, and that way I don't have to take any of the fault. So, like,
topical.
That is a thing about this game is Swery is one of the few, like, obviously there's tons of indie games that kind of get into these themes, but like this game talks about drug use. This game talks about there is a transgender character. You know, this game talks about racism. You meet the local sheriff and he's black, and he talks about like how living in the deep south as a black man is like really fucking hard, and how he managed just to walk that line. And so like I totally give him props for being able to speak about these issues. And like there's been some criticism about how the game treats its transgender character, and Swery was out there saying like, I've heard you guys, you're right, I'm going to patch the game and change that scene because like I was ignorant. And so they're straight up like patching one of the cutscenes around the game because of that. And like I think that deserves some props, because a lot of auteurs don't like that kind of criticism and shy away from it.
Yeah, like they would not make the effort to go back and adjust something. So far, it's. I don't know if I'm excusing some of the jankiness of like the frame rate being bad and like some of the corners being like very jaggedy because it's Deadly Premonition. Like I don't know if I would have stuck with it if it was like a different game, perhaps. But God, it's just like oozing in its weird charm. And it's not necessarily the same Twin Peaks type of charm from like the first one, because I'd have to like go back, but I don't remember York being so snappy and kind of like rude to people in the first game.
Maybe there's not enough. Maybe there's not enough FK in his coffee. I don't know.
I played a few hours of that first game in preparation for it, and he's definitely he's a little blunt. Mm-hmm. My single favorite thing about the game is the addition of a sidekick for York in the form
CLG?
Yes, CLG, the clever little girl, a precocious like 12-year-old junior investigator to York. She's the daughter of the local sheriff. She's great. Like their pairing is great because both of those characters, like York and a child, are people who see the world in a completely different way than most people, right? Like York obviously is a weirdo who has his own perspective of things, and a child is going to have a lot of a different perspective on things. But like their relationship is actually really killer. The key thing that keeps me going back and wanting to play more of it is to see what happens with those two characters.
Sure. I wind up not riding the skateboard because I like hearing their little dialogue. And I'm trying to think of a game that handles like dialogue that happens while traveling really well, because this game doesn't do it well at all. Like Saints Row the Third, like did it really well. Like if you hit a bump, like the conversation would eventually resume. But here, if you even like go into a pause menu or like
go
check
over
your
a curb
step.
wrong.
Go over a curb wrong.
God of War did it pretty well.
Yeah, the dialogue will just stop. And like I kind of get bummed out. It's like, well, what were you gonna say? Like, just finish it. Just
don't worry,
back.
Jan. He only has like 15 of those lines, and they repeat thousands of times in the
Okay,
game.
fantastic.
Did you guys recommend?
One lollipop.
Did you guys recommend this game? Should people play this game?
No.
No. Wow. Okay.
I have weird tastes in games, and I've come to learn that. I'm gonna say yes.
I'm gonna say don't spend $60 on this game. I think it's 50 actually. Don't spend.
Don't spend 60. Spend 50.
Don't spend $50 on this game. If you are a diehard, super duper diehard Deadly Premonition fan, you've already bought this game. If you're somebody who say watched an endurance run like me and Jan and are curious about what happens in Deadly Premonition 2, I would say maybe wait until it's like a pretty decent sale.
That's right.
Yeah, and that probably gives you enough time because they said they're going to patch the frame rate issues gradually. So if you wait
every week, they're going to give you another like 5 frames a second.
Yeah, you get a couple frames back per week, and then when they give you like when it's full 30 frames, they'll give you a discount.
That's the moment.
Yeah, I think like the thing that I have with that game is I like the first game. This game just feels the second one just feels like it's being quirky for the sake of being quirky,
sure,
as opposed to like, and I don't like try hard quirkiness, even if it is like hitting it now and then. Like I saw the skateboard thing and I was like, just grow up. But like at the same time, I like the first game a lot, and I like Swery, and I like Francis York Morgan and Zach and those characters. But I don't want to be in a game where it's trying hard to be quirky. I just
Does that kind of call into question for you guys, like how self-aware he was and they were about that first game, or like maybe they didn't actually know how ridiculous the thing they were making was?
I think it's more so the latter in that case. Like they had a direct vision, and it may not have landed how they wanted it to. It's kind of like The Room, right? Where it's like they made something like with all of their heart, and then it wound up being interpreted completely differently. But I kind of agree with Tam that sometimes it's a little being quirky for the sake of quirky. But sometimes I just like the cheese, you know?
Yeah, it is fun. Like that's what it is. And I don't want to, when I play it, I am definitely going to play it because I love that series. But I don't want the kind of performance issues to get in the way of what it's trying to do.
That's fair.
Because I feel like that's going to push me over the edge. Where
it's no joke. Like sometimes single digit frame rates, and in the open world, which you spend most of your time in the game in that open world.
Have they said anything about it coming to other platforms?
Not yet.
Okay. Although from the sound of it, like some of the ports of the first game didn't exactly get better when they came to.
No, they're bad. They're all bad.
Yeah.
Jeff made a really good point about this game when I was talking to him about it, which was that first game nobody had any expectations for. It became this kind of cult hit that people discovered. It's like, check out this cool quirky game. It plays kind of like garbage, but it's really engaging. It has a fun story, and then having to make a sequel to that, right? It's like, well, now people are going to have all sorts of expectations. People are going to come in with a lot of preconceived notions about what they think a Deadly Premonition game is. And it's like, man, what even is a Deadly Premonition game? And what Swery thinks a Deadly Premonition game is a lot different than what a lot of people think a Deadly Premonition game is, it turns out.
So the person that reviewed it for us, Kurt Indovina, is like a huge Deadly Premonition fan and like Swery a lot. And I think the thing that he came away with, what he said was like, he thinks that The Missing, JJ Macfield, is probably a more interesting game to play as a follow-up to Deadly Premonition, because it doesn't try to recapture that, and instead takes what was good about it and spins it in a different way.
I meant to get back to that game. Did you play through that whole thing?
I didn't.
Oh, did you, Ben? Oh,
I did.
I didn't know that. I don't think I really got back to it after the quick look, but like there's something there for sure. Like that thing, after enough of like the cell phone stuff kicks in, like I'm trying to remember certain like conversations, like they're piecing them back together, right? Some of the text message chains and stuff,
the text threads and stuff,
and like there's a real like storytelling hook to that. Like does that game pay off?
Totally, yeah. Huh. I really really liked the story in that game. I didn't play it. It could have been in my top 10 last year if I had. I played it this year though. But.
Okay. Oh man, that game had the best like text stickers, and it also
Oh, those are really good. Yeah.
the one that's just like "fuck off" and like the really comical like cartoon font and everything.
Ben, if Deadly Premonition 1 was super heavy on the Twin Peaks, what would you say Deadly Premonition 2 has been so far? If it's been similar to anything,
I
it's
feel like
definitely not like a firewalk with me.
no, it feels almost kind of like a return, but with the complete wrong lessons learned. Because like modern day, I don't want to spoil how Deadly Premonition 1 ends, but it ends with a very serious character change to the main character. And they have to continue that on into the sequel, obviously. And he kind of feels almost like, not definitely a Dougie, but like kind of that similar, like, here's the character you know and love and want to see, but he's not the same.
Right.
Getting a fair number of True Detective like season 1 comparisons in the chat.
Okay, yeah, I could see that too. Except it's a little more.
Whoa.
No, like not a good representation.
Who's making those comparisons? Relax.
Settle down. All right. Well, I just have to express my gratitude to you guys for playing this game so that I don't have to.
I honestly think I'm going to go back and finish it when I'm done with Paper Mario, just because I want to see how the story goes through. And at the time, the Wikipedia page for it didn't have a plot summary of the game because I was just going to read that instead.